Hello and welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. I am your host, Paul Markle, and I am pleased to be behind this microphone once again to deliver you the truth and the good news. Now, folks, we're glad that you're here with us. We appreciate the fact that you guys really have just been blowing us up this week on Facebook and the email and so forth with your questions, your comments, and just your kind words. You know, a lot of times it's not even a question. It's just, hey, guys, I found your show and really appreciate it. So, hey, we appreciate you being out there. And half of the we is Jared. Jared's over there on the other side of the table, on the other side of the board, and he's staring intently at his monitor, so he must have something really interesting going on over there. Jared, say hello to the folks this week.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Wow.
Is that what you wanted?
Okay. There was that.
No, I am staring intently at my monitor over here because I am indeed getting some things set up for the to make this flow smoothly.
Well, that's what we want. We absolutely want this to flow smoothly. Now, we want to say happy birthday to our good friend Trent Cooper. Trent Cooper is our guy up at Crossbreed Holsters. He is our ninja at Crossbreed. He's the guy who makes everything happen up there. And Trent's birthday actually occurred right before we recorded this, but hey, this is the first time we've been on the radio since then. So, Trent, happy birthday. And you can check out Crossbreed Holsters at crossbreedholsters.com. How simple is that? Now, don't forget our good buddies down there in Cocoa, Florida at Keltec Firearms, keltecweapons.com. Check them out. Keltec is doing all kinds of stuff, and we're really looking forward. We just actually got our very first SHOT Show announcement this week, and I can't believe it's been almost a year already, but we're starting to gear up for SHOT Show. Everyone in the industry now is slowly but surely planning out their calendars. And what we traditionally do and what we've traditionally done the last couple of shows is we set up a little meet and greet at the Keltec booth, and we've also done that at the XS Sights booth. We are already booked to be at the XS Sights booth on Tuesday of SHOT Show. So I know we've got a lot of time between now and then, but we'll remind you guys. And speaking of XS Sights, we had a really kind of a cool thing pop up on our Facebook yesterday. Our very first XS Sights Good Guy winner, and he was our student of the week, Alvin Wynn. Well, apparently Alvin is a very skilled photographer, and he's already got his Good Guy package. It's in his hot little hands, and he decided to thank us and thank XS Sights by doing a little photo montage. And if you're friends with us on Student of the Gun, if you follow Student of the Gun on Facebook, you can check that out. You can check out the picture of all the cool goodies and gear and whatnot that Alvin received. Hey, I know some of you guys don't like social media. You're like, oh, I'm not doing that Facebook or that Twittery thing. I got you. That's cool. Just go to studentofthegun.com, and over on the right-hand side, you can sign up for our weekly newsletter. We'll send you the newsletter once a week. It has the latest article, the latest videos, what's going on with Student of the Gun, and contests. So keep up with the contest. We like giving stuff away, and speaking of giving stuff away, you guys know that we're giving away training. Well, how are we doing that? Well, we're partnered with Tactical Response up in Camden, Tennessee. And we've already picked our October winner, and we're going to have a November winner that we'll pick on November 1st, and a December winner as well. And our winners will get a free 2-day tuition. Free tuition to any 2-day class that Tactical Response puts on. And that's fighting pistol, fighting rifle, fighting shotgun, all that good jazz. Just go to tacticalresponse.com, click on the courses available, and check them out. And if you win any 2-day course, you will get free complimentary tuition. So check that out. And again, congratulations to the last winner, the winner of October.
You know what the good thing about winning training is?
What's that?
Even if you live in a slave state, you have an opportunity to come to free America and experience what it's like.
That is an excellent point. Jared brings up an excellent point that even if you currently reside in a slave state, you can go to Tactical Response. And some of you guys out there might be thinking, well, guys or girls, whatever, chicks, we dig you chicks too. But if you want to take fighting pistol, now people are like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I don't have any training. No, that's cool. If you don't have any training, that is the course you want to take. And you're like, well, I don't even own a fighting pistol, or, you know, I have a .22 revolver that my grandpa left me. Should I take that? No. What you should do is you just go ahead and rent a gun from Tactical Response. They have rental guns, rental holsters, rental mag pouches, all that stuff.
They're very good about letting you test the gear before you go make a purchase for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you have questions, just get on the phone and call the lovely Marilyn and say, lovely Marilyn, I have questions, and they'll help you out. So check them out. And remember, all you have to do, not just, we're giving away right now, we just gave away the shotgun, the flashlights. We've got, coming up, we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. Now, we're not doing it right at this moment, but let me tell you guys, you are going to want to make sure that you are on the list, because before Christmas rolls around, we're going to be giving away a lot of other good stuff from additional sponsors, Student of the Gun sponsors, because, hey, they're awesome, right? Now, Jared, I want you to, we're going to go to the Student of the Week. And remember, the Student of the Week every week from now on for the next 52 weeks or 50 weeks or whatever is going to get a good guy package from Excess Sights, because they are our good buddies down there in Fort Worth, Texas. So Jared is going to tell us who our Student of the Week is and what their question happens to be.
Our Student of the Week is Joe Vall, and he wants to know how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop.
Really?
Okay, no, not really. I'm just kidding. He says, Paul Walker, I have a question. How can we wake more people up? It seems more awaking every day, but we need everyone awake.
Okay, well, I'm not Paul Walker. I am Paul Markel, Markel. Google it. But I had somebody actually tell me the other day, stop saying Google it. Tell people to use something else. I'm like, okay, Bing it. Yeah.
Don't say Bing. Bing's not family friendly.
Okay, not Bing. Okay, what is? What should I use?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Everybody uses Google.
I know. It's like Walmart. It's the evil empire. But that isn't Joe. And I don't know if he pronounces it Vol or Valet or whatever, but it's VA, Victor, Adam, Lincoln, Edward. So, Joe, congratulations. Even though you got my name wrong, I did pick you as the Student of the Week. And the reason I did this because I wanted to use the opportunity of your question to address several other very similar questions or comments that we've gotten from students of the gun for the last 2, 3, 4 months. I don't know, pretty much ever since we started doing the show. People are like, okay, Paul, I got it. I should call my congressman. And folks will, they'll write us back and like, my congressman is a total jackhole and they don't listen to me. Or the people at their office are like, yeah, thanks for your comments. And then they go and they do what we don't want them to do anyway. So what can I do? And they feel, they feel that they're impotent. They're like, I don't know what to do. There's nothing I can do. And we give suggestions here and we give suggestions there. Obviously, you should listen to Student of the Gun Radio every week. I mean, hey, that is your number one priority. Everyone in life has to have priorities, and your priority needs to be listening to Student of the Gun every week.
There's a lot of fans that is their priority because they've told us that no matter what other podcasts come out or what they else have to listen to, they always listen to ours when it comes out, and that's very humbling.
Well, that's because we have a very intelligent audience. That goes without saying. We're not like NPR, but well, all right. Here's what we're going to do for you guys. Now you're out there, and we know what it's like. You live your life. You're not a professional. If you're not a professional soldier, or you're not a professional police officer, you're not a professional gun guy. You're a guy or a girl, a woman, who happens to just be out there living their life. You have a job and you have a family, you have a career, you've got all that stuff. You have all your priorities, but you also feel that your country is slipping away from you. That every day you open the news on your laptop or your smartphone when you're commuting to work or whatever, and you're listening to the radio and you think, this world is falling apart and I'm helpless to do anything about it. Well, let me tell you what. Number one, if you're listening to me right now and you are living in the United States of America, oh, and hello to all of our fans who are not in the United States of America, and you should come visit us sometime. But if you are listening to us and you live in the United States of America, at this moment, you still have the ability, the freedom to make a difference. You have the ability to positively affect your neighborhood, your family, your friends, your community. Let's face it, if you set out and you're like, well, I'm going to fix the country all by myself, you will soon become very frustrated and you'll just quit. You'll throw your hands up and you'll say, I'm not making a difference. No one cares. I'm done. I'm going to go live in a cave until, the end of days. And we don't need that. What we don't need people living in caves until the end of days. What we need is patriotic, motivated American citizens who don't drink the Kool-Aid, who don't think that it's Big Brother's job to take care of you. Now, we know that there are people that inhabit this country who firmly believe, for one reason or another, that it is the job of a centralized government to make everything fair for you. And anything that any pet project, any pet idea that you have, it's the government's job to force everyone else to like it. It's the government's job to force everyone else to listen to you. Well, those of us who still believe in the founding of this nation, those of us who have read enough history or have had it recited to us by our grandfathers and our grandmothers and our relatives who told us, you know what, this is a great country. It's not as great as it once was. I'm not going to lie to you. This country once was better and stronger than it is today. But we can have that again. The roadmap is there. We have the roadmap. We have the plans. And Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Madison, Adams, Paine, you name it, the founding fathers, Franklin, they knew that this day would come. And people are like, well, in the state of emergency or in the case of an emergency, we need to suspend the Constitution or suspend the Bill of Rights because it's an emergency. No, it's the exact opposite. The Bill of Rights was put in place not for when everything is fun and cool and everyone's happy and content. That's not why it's there. It's there for these days. It's there for these times. It is there for the hard times, for the crisis, for, as a contingency plan. Let's face it, the First Amendment is not there to protect nice speech. People have this weird, twisted understanding of the First Amendment that the First Amendment applies as long as everyone, agrees with you or approves of what you have to say. That's not it at all. Because first of all, if you think about it on the face of it, that would be silly. We wouldn't need an amendment or a law, or we wouldn't need to affirm free speech if it was nice speech or politically correct speech or speech that everyone wants to hear or everyone wants to approve of. That's not what the First Amendment is about. It's to protect your right to say controversial things. And, to you it may not be controversial, but to others it may be. It's not freedom from religion, it's freedom of religion. And somehow in this nation we've turned it around so that it's freedom from hearing about religion. Of course, unless it's the Islamic faith, and then we have to have that shoved down our throats, but that's a topic for another day. So you're out there right now and you say, Paul, I believe, first of all, in order to be with me on this new project, you have to believe in the founding of this nation. If you still have not been convinced that the founding of this nation, the United States of America, wasn't one of the greatest miracles in human history, if you don't believe that, then there really is no point in you going any further, because that is the foundational building block of this project. I know that you can be, you may be sitting out there and you're thinking, man, am I the only one in my world that actually cares about the nation? Am I the only one that sees that our values are crumbling every single day? I know you're out there. I'm out there. We're all out there. And let me tell you, brothers and sisters, you're not alone. You may feel alone, but you're not alone. And we can't fight this fight all by ourselves because you're going to get exhausted. You're going to get tired. You're going to get frustrated. And human beings need affirmation. We do. Every human being needs affirmation. We need to know that we're not the only one on planet Earth that feels this way. That's another great reason to go, as a quick aside again, another great reason to go to a shooting school, to book a class in a professional shooting academy. Even if you think that you're pretty good and you know what you're doing, go to a shooting school and spend some time with like-minded people. People who are probably just like you. They have families and careers and all that, but they like to, they want to learn how to shoot. They want to learn how to use their firearms better. You go and you find yourself amongst, 10, 12, 20 other people that feel the same way as you, and they're from different walks of life, different parts of the country, and you're like, wow, I thought I was the only one. You're not. So how do we get this affirmation? How do we encourage each other? Well, one of the ways through this microphone. That's what I'm trying to do. Obviously, when I get in front of this microphone every week, I attempt to encourage you. If you're not checking out studentofthegun.com on a regular basis, shame on you. You really should be, because there's lots of articles there. We do short videos, we do articles, and of course the television show is out there as well. But all of those things are designed to encourage you, to educate you, to bring you the information that you might not otherwise be getting from other sources. But that's not me. I'm not there in your living room, in your den, talking to you. We're not sharing an adult beverage and a cigar. What you need in your life, and what I would encourage you, if you're out there and you say, what else can I do, Paul? What can I do? Well, what I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you to become a member of a Patriot fire team. You're probably hearing that for the very first time because I'm the one who created it. But Patriot fire team, if you're a fan of Student of the Gun, you should know that Paul Markle, your beloved host, became a United States Marine in 1987. While I was in the United States Marine Corps on active duty, I was an infantryman. I did time with the Security Forces Battalion. I served with the 6th Marines overseas in combat. And let me tell you a little bit, let me give you a little background in case you guys don't know about how, at least when I was in, and I believe it's still the same today, how the Marine Corps infantry system is set up. It's not just battalions and divisions and regiments. It starts at the very, very base level. And a fire team consists of 4 individual Marines. Now, there's a leader, obviously, because every team has to have a leader. You have a fire team leader who's also the grenadier, carries a 203. Then you have an automatic rifleman. Then you have an assistant automatic rifleman, and then you have a rifleman. And generally that goes to, from seniority down to the newest guy. So the rifleman is going to be the private or the PFC, the new guy on the team. And then, of course, your team leader is going to be the guy with the most experience and the highest rank. And there you have a fire team that is the core foundation of the Marine Corps Rifle Squad. And the squad is made up of 3 fire teams. And then a platoon is made up of 3 squads. You guys you're tracking with me now? Okay, and then you have a company, which is made up of 3 platoons plus a support platoon. We'll get into that later. Then you have a battalion, which is made up of what? 3 companies plus a support company. And then where do you go from there? You go to a regiment. And then you go to a division. But what I think a lot of us out there, we're sitting in our homes and we're frustrated and we're thinking on the regimental level. We're thinking on the division level. We're thinking every gun owner in America needs to do this. Every patriot in America needs to do this. And that's, regimental division level. But do you have the ability in Bangor, Maine, or Prescott, Arizona, or wherever you happen to be sitting right now listening to the sound of my voice, do you have the ability to affect people on a division level? Well, maybe you do, but probably most of you don't. But I can tell you what you do have. You do have the ability to affect people on a fire team level, Because when it comes down to it, if from in the grand scheme of things, we talk about divisions and battalions and regiments and so forth, but they all come down to the core foundation, the small unit, the small unit tactics. And you're like, well, what are you saying, Paul, that we all need to go get, automatic rifles? And no, this isn't so much in the literal as practical or theoretical. And you say, well, what are you talking about? All right. Let's say you are excited right now and you're like, whoa, Paul just dropped a little coin in my bucket there, and I'm gonna run with that. You are the leader because let's say you're motivated. Do you have 2 or 3 friends who you think feel like you do, that they're frustrated, they don't know what to do? Or maybe you just have 3 friends and you haven't talked to them about it, or 2 or 3 friends, whatever. And do you have that one guy at work that you guys, in the morning when you're having coffee and you're getting ready for the day, you're like, man, can you believe the news this morning? Can you believe that this happened or that happened? And you're both just frustrated and you're like, well, what can we do? Well, you're providing each other with mutual support, mutual psychological support, and you need that. Now, we're not necessarily talking about militaristic tactics. What we're talking about is providing each other with support, providing each other with encouragement. Hey, Jared, when you go to the gym, is it better to go to the gym by yourself, or is it better to go to the gym with another person? And if so, why? Tell me.
It's always better to have somebody else, but make sure that person has the same drive as you. Don't take somebody that doesn't have the exact same amount of will as you do, or more.
So if you go to the gym with another person that has a similar goals or the same goals as you, do you end up with a better workout or a worse workout?
Yeah, definitely a better workout. They'll push you, you'll push them, and it'll be better for everybody.
So in the end, we'll just use the gym theory for a second. You take 2 guys that are both, essentially on the same sheet of music. They both have similar goals, and they encourage each other. Let's face it, if you're out if it's a physical endeavor like the gym, and you're there with another person, are you going to do that extra set if you're with another person? Of course you are. Because 2 things. Number 1, they encourage you, and number 2, you don't want to seem like a wuss, right?
I've been working out my entire life, and still to this day, I notice that if I go with a team of people or even just one other person, I ended up working out at least twice as hard as I do when I go by myself. Because when you're by yourself, face it, it's just boring. You don't have any motivation. Well, you should have some motivation, but you have more motivation with another person or a team of people.
And, when we talk about a fire team, and a lot of people have the misconception when you talk about United States Marines, that somehow Marines are a bunch of robots. They're just a bunch of go, go, go robots. Yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full kind of thing. And that really is not the case. When you become a United States Marine, they tear you down all the way to the foundational level, and then they build you back up. But as they're building you back up, even in boot camp, and then through infantry school and through continued infantry training and advanced infantry training and what have you, what they teach you or what they tell you or encourage you is that every man needs to know and understand and be able to assume the job of the person above him. And it's not a bunch of, that's the Russian army. The old Soviet Union Russian army was a private is a private is a private. He never will be a sergeant until he's told to be a sergeant. He certainly does not know or understand what the officers are doing. In the United States Marine Corps infantry, you're taught that if the guy above you is not there for whatever reason, he's sick or he's dead or whatever, you can't assume his position. It is expected that everyone can do the job of the next person above him. And how do you do that? Well, you do that through peer counseling, peer training, mutual training, and support of each other. So you're not indoctrinating a bunch of like mindless robots that just, go here. No, you actually, what you're doing is you're creating a group or a team of thinkers, a team of people who have the ability to think and act in a creative and resourceful manner. And that is really what you need in your life. I believe so. If you're a frustrated guy and it could be as simple as this, you're listening to me right now and you're like, I don't know, I'd like to try that out. Well, call up your buddy Fred and your buddy Bob and say, hey, you guys want to meet me on the range on Friday, and we're just going to run some training drills. And student of the gun, if we do nothing else, what do we give people, Jared? We give them free training drills all the time. We've done the one box workout for pistols, one box workout for rifles. And if you watch Student of the Gun on TV, Jared, what did you just edit?
I just edited the compass drill segment.
Yeah, so if you're watching us on TV, which you should be, Dish Network, Channel 266.
And if you're not, you can catch the exact same episodes in HD on studentofthegun.com.
That's right. So we always want to go to the range with a plan. But if you go to the range with a plan and you've got 2 or 3 other people there with you, you can exercise that plan and you can actually encourage each other. And they say, well, all right, but we all can't get together at the range at the same time. That's cool. Talk to each other. Say, hey, does your family, if there's storm preparation, does your family have enough food? If there was a tornado or an earthquake tomorrow or a hurricane or what have you, and you couldn't get to the grocery store for 3 solid days, would your family be good? Yes or no? And you want to build slowly but surely. You don't have to do it all in one day. But what I want you guys to do is think about who would be on my Patriot Fire Team. Who could I rely on? Who do I know that if things got bad or there was a storm or there was an emergency or there was a civil unrest, that I could rely on to have my back and I would have their back?
Let me go back to the training real quick and the practice. And I'll use the gym as an example. Like if you go to the gym or if you go to the range, report your progress. Take a notebook with you. Write down what you do at the range and your results, because how are you going to notice a change in results if you don't document it? You could go practice every single day and you maybe not know that you're actually improving because you're not marking down what you're doing.
Yeah, record your progress. And, this doesn't have to be super official, but what I would say is the first step is to consider it and say, you know what? Maybe I do need to reach out. And there could be most human beings are not self-starters. That's just the way human beings are. There are a few people that are self-starters, that are self-motivated, that can get up every day, motivate themselves. And most of the time, those people are very successful in whatever career field they choose. But the fact of the matter is most people need encouragement. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. It just is what it is. So if you can encourage your friends, if they can encourage you, and you might be that guy who feels like you've been spending all of your encouragement energy on other people and you have none left for yourself. I mean, how many times have you felt frustrated? I mean, Lord in heaven, if you read the news at all anymore, it's almost to the point if you don't want to be upset or depressed, you just have to avoid it. And we talked about that before. Avoiding it is not a way of dealing with it, because it's going to continue to happen whether you acknowledge it or not. What we've decided to do, and congratulations, because if you're listening to the sound of my voice, you're one of the first, several thousand people to hear about our idea or our concept of the Patriot Fire Team. And Jared and I we just hashed this out over the last couple of days because, we wanted to deal with that situation. And we wanted to address the question not just of our Student of the Week, Joe, but a lot of other folks out there who say, hey, what can I do on my level? And like I said, a lot of times you think, you're thinking on nationwide, worldwide level, and you feel like this little insignificant guy, I can't affect the whole nation. I can't deal with what's going on in Washington, D.C. or at my local state government. But can you affect what's going on in your community? Absolutely you can. And that's what we need. We don't need people looking to Big Brother to solve all their problems. That's not how this nation was founded, and that's not how it's supposed to be run. It's supposed to be run by the citizens taking control of their individual communities. And you have the opportunity to do that. You have the opportunity to encourage others and to allow them to encourage you, because I know that a lot of you guys out there, you're frustrated. I feel you. I read it in your emails, and you're wondering, what can I do? Well, Stop trying to, it's like trying to bail out 100 gallons at one time. Well, you can get that 100 gallons if you just do one at a time, and eventually all 100 will be gone. What we're going to do for you guys is we're going to come up with a dedicated website, and we'll promote it through Student of the Gun. We'll give you the links, but it's going to be patriotfireteam.com. It's real simple. Patriot, the word fire, and the word team, put them together, put a .com there, and we're going to have it for you. And what we've decided we're going to do is we're going to use this outlet, we're going to use this avenue of the internet to provide you with but topical pieces. All right, talk to your friends about this. We'll give you some articles. We'll give you some videos. We'll give you some suggestions for, it's not going to be really gear heavy, but there are certain items that, you need to own. It's like if you want to be a mechanic, you can read 1,000 books on auto mechanics, but if you don't own a wrench set, you're not going to get very far, right? But at the same time, owning a wrench set doesn't make you a mechanic. You've got to combine them, right? And if you are going to be a citizen patriot, if you're going to be a member of the Patriot Fire Team, you're going to have the information, the intelligence, the knowledge, and then, of course, you'll have to have the hardware to go with that. So congratulations. You are some of the first people on planet Earth to hear about the Patriot Fire Team. And, hey, you want me to ask them if they want shirts, Jared?
Yeah, do that.
Okay. We were talking about this off air, and we're like, well, would you guys out there in Student of the Gun land and Student of the Gun radio land, would you want shirts with our dedicated Patriot Fire Team verbiage and logo on them? Let us know. Hey, you can immediately, as soon as you hear this, go to Facebook, go to Student of the Gun, and say yes or no thanks or whatever. We don't care. Just do whatever you want to do. You guys are going to do it anyway, right?
The quicker we get feedback from you, the quicker we will have the product available.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to print up 5,000 shirts if 3 people want them. Now, speaking of hardware, I've been holding this back because I'm pretty darn excited. But right as we started to record this week's show, Brown Santa Claus pulled up, my guy, in the, you know who Brown Santa Claus is, right? The UPS truck. Santa Claus in a brown truck. And my buddy, our good friend, the UPS driver, he pulled up and he had a package for us from Cold Steel Knives. Now, Cold Steel Knives, I've been working with their stuff or using their stuff for 20 years or so, I guess, a long time. And if you're not familiar with Cold Steel, you should get familiar with them. They make, if it is sharp and it can, whether it's a little tiny hideout neck knife or it's a freaking two-handed broadsword and everything in between, Cold Steel makes it. And one of the things that we checked out there at NRA, we talked to them, and they handed us one of their special projects catalogs, and they do all kinds of stuff. Now, one thing that Cold Steel does is they do limited runs on certain things because, let's face it, you can't stock a million items. But what they'll do is they'll do a limited run on a certain kind of sword or a certain kind of knife, and they only do it like once a year. I was talking to them, and they said, yeah, we only do certain runs. We'll do them once a year, and once they're sold, that's it. They're gone. So if you've got your eye on something, you might want to, check it out immediately. But how many of you guys out there in our listening audience are fans of the show Spartacus? Okay, you can put your hands down now. But we here at Student of the Gun, we are fans of the show Spartacus. My good buddy James up in Tennessee got me involved in it. He sat me down one time and said, hey, watch this show. And it is a very super adult show. It is rated R or NC-17 or whatever. So it's not a show for kids, but it is a show for adults, for you and I, for big people. And Spartacus has a lot of combat in it. And we were watching, actually, we don't watch regular TV. We watch it through Netflix and Xbox Video and all that jazz. Well, we're watching the show, and they have, of course, what do they have? They have the special features and what have you. And one of the special features was Spartacus Boot Camp, and it was behind-the-scenes video of the actors doing their 2-week training boot camp before they actually started filming. And they've got professional, trainers and fitness experts and so forth, and they've got them out there doing push-ups and, lifting bags and doing all that kind of stuff. But another thing that they were doing is they were doing, obviously because the show was Spartacus, and what do they use? Swords and spears and knives. They had the trainers out there, and they were doing sword training and knife training. And I looked, and I saw one actress, and she was doing knife training. I'm like, ha! I recognize that. Those are Cold Steel training knives. I knew they were. And then I watched a little harder, a little closer, and I saw that they were using, now this, I'm going to say this word, and like half the audience is going to correct me. The gladius. Some people pronounce it gladius. Gladius, whatever. The Roman sword.
If you're really tan and have spray on abs, I think they say gladius.
Oh, okay. If you're really tan and have spray on abs, you say gladius. So they're using these training gladius swords. And I thought, all right, those have to be the Cold Steel ones. So I called my my new friend up there at one of my buddies at Cold Steel, and I talked to him, and I said, hey, we were watching this. What's the deal? He said, yep. He said, not only are those our training tools that they used on the show, but some of our guys, because everybody up at Cold Steel is involved in the martial arts in some form or fashion. They just are. They're all dedicated martial artists. They're Kenpo guys, they're knife fighting guys, they're stick fighting guys. They just do it. And he said, yeah, our guys actually went and trained some of the actors for the show. And we're like, how cool is that? And so Jared and I, we were talking, and we said, you know what? I bet you, we bet you that our audience, that you guys out there, it's in the Student of the Gun audience, in addition to guns, you know you like knives too, right? Well, of course you do. So what we did is we talked to the guys at Cold Steel, and they sent us a big care package of stuff, of Cold Steel merchandise, so that we could use it, feature it, and show it on the TV show. So that is coming up, and we could not be more excited. Yes, we have Gladius trainers. Cold Steel actually makes a Gladius machete. You're like, what? Yes, absolutely. Cold Steel makes a Gladius machete. And if you know anything about Cold Steel, they don't make anything that is not ridiculously sharp. That is not, you pull it out of the sheath, you look at it. If you look at it for too long, you start to bleed. They're sharp. But we've got all that stuff, and we've got it coming up on the video material of Student of the Gun. So check that out really soon. All right, next story. Now, this story we're going to talk about, and this next story disappoints me. It enrages me. It infuriates me. It does everything but make me happy. And this comes to us from the local paper called wait for it, the Eagle Tribune. And the original story was published in the Eagle Tribune. And you probably didn't hear about this on CNN or MSNBC. And if you view any of those, I don't even know why you're here, because they're completely in the tank for the administration. But turns out that when the government decided they were going to faux shut down, because ask yourself this, if the government is quote unquote actually shut down, why do we have thousands of park rangers out there keeping people out of our parks? If they're shut down and they don't have money, how are they paying all these guys in the brown Mr. Ranger hats to harass our veterans as they try to visit the memorials? Apparently, they got plenty of cash for that.
As a quick side note, and they also have park rangers stopping citizens from mowing the lawns, apparently. If anybody heard about that story. Some random guy was from South Carolina, went up and was mowing I think the Lincoln Memorial. I think he was mowing the lawn, and he was stopped and told not to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He had a South Carolina flag over his shoulder, I believe, while he was mowing the lawn.
South Carolina, those guys in South Carolina are kicking it up again. And this is another side note. South Carolina just voted, the state house and Congress just voted to nullify major portions of Obamacare, of the ACA. So go South Carolina.
Another side note on top of that one. Sorry, guys. One of the states, it might have even been Wisconsin. I don't know which state it was. Don't quote me on that. But they basically voted to keep the national parks open in that state.
Oh, it was Wisconsin. It was
Yeah.
Governor Scott Walker.
Yeah, they took the 10th Amendment, they used it and said, no, we're going to keep them open.
We need more. We need more governors like that. But the title of this story is Unreal: Yellowstone tourists locked in hotel by armed federal agents. And according to the parent story, or the original story, like we said from the Eagle Tribune, when they decided that they were going to shut down the federal government, or only shut down certain parts of the federal government, which of course includes the National Park Services. And have you noticed? Has anybody else out there noticed that it seems to be, the Park Service that has decided? Now, why is it the Park Service? Is it because American citizens enjoy the parks and use the parks, and so how can we harm the American citizen? How can we inflict the most pain on the American citizen? Is it through Yellowstone National Park, on October 1st, they decided to faux shut down the government. And apparently, according to the story, armed park personnel told the tourists that were there, they put them in the hotel. They told them that they had to stay in the hotel. They were not allowed to leave, and they were not allowed to, quote, recreate. They were forbidden to recreate. That was the term that the Park Service used at the park. They even went so far, it says, as to try and block off or block the view of Old Faithful. The geyser, for those of you who went to public schools, there's a geyser, a natural spring geyser that shoots water out of the ground in Yellowstone National Park. And, they tried to block the view of that so people couldn't look at it. Because apparently, remember, we talked about this. You guys thought it was funny. You thought it was a big joke when we talked about the Park Service 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, when we brought the story before you, that said that a Park Service employee went and ticketed a preschool teacher for taking her little kids out on a picnic without getting a permit from the government. And we said to you, have we devolved in the United States to the place where England was, where, all the deer belonged to the king? We opined as to whether or not we've fallen to a state in the United States where we not only have the king's deer, but we have the king's mountains and the king's sunshine and the king's trees. Apparently, the king owns the Old Faithful geyser now. Did you know that the National Park Service is blocking off the scenic view pull-offs around Mount Rushmore, preventing people from stopping to take pictures and look at Mount Rushmore? So does that belong to the king now? And if you read this story, we'll put the link up. Remember, if you want to read the links, if you want to read the stuff that we talk about, see the links, go to studentofthegunradio.com. studentofthegunradio.com, and Jared will put the links up. So when you're talking about this over the water at the water cooler with your friends, you can say, hey, did you know? And they're like, I don't believe it. And you can say, well, here's the link right here, Sparky. But after keeping these people locked in the hotel and telling them that they were not allowed to leave, they loaded them up on buses, drove them out of the park, and forbid the buses to stop for 2.5 hours. That's right. The buses were not allowed to stop at some of the privately owned businesses that make their living, catering to Yellowstone tourists with the gift shops and the restrooms and the restaurants and all that. No, they told them they were forbidden, and apparently the private businesses were threatened. That's right, threatened by the Park Service that they would have their licenses revoked if they allowed tourists to come there or to stop there. Folks, you guys need to read this. But what I want to ask you is, do you believe that it is in the charter of the National Park Service to hold citizens against their will? Do you or don't you? Do you believe that without charges that the federal government has the right to restrict your movement as a citizen?
If you do, I don't know why you're listening to us.
Ask yourself that. Do you really believe it? And if it was you, what would you have done? Because, folks, everybody likes to think in the abstract. Everyone likes to think, well, that's terrible, but that would never actually happen to me. That wouldn't actually happen here where I live. That happens other places. Those terrorist attacks in malls and schools and churches and hotels, yeah, those happen in other parts of the world, but they would never, ever happen here. Get your head in the game, folks. Get your head in the game. And an opinion that was offered to me this week about, or a hypothesis about this National Park Service deal and about the what's going on. An opinion that was offered to me was that right now we talked about workups and we talked about, training and we talked about practice. And someone said, well, right now the United States federal government, what they're doing is they're running a beta test and they're running a workup for not just to see, and a lot of people have figured this out, how far can you push the American people? How hard can we abuse the American people and they'll just take it and they'll just suck on it? How hard can we abuse them? Okay, we've got that. That's going on. How hard can we press down on the neck of the American people and they'll just say, thank you, sir, may I have another? But also the opposite side of that coin is, are these agencies vetting and testing their people? Are they testing, is the National Park Service and the Border Patrol Service and you name it, are they testing these people to see whether or not they understand and remember an oath of office and whether or not their people understand and recognize constitutional law? So if we've got Park Service employees that refuse to abuse the people, that refuse to turn away veterans at the memorials, that refuse to hold people against their will at Yellowstone, we need to broom those people. In the next, 2-3 weeks, month, 2 months, 6 months, are all those people that refuse to obey the orders of the king, are we going to make them point themselves out or skyline and then we'll know to get rid of them? Because who are they looking for right now? Be honest. This isn't, if it's actually happening right in front of your face, it's not a conspiracy, folks. You crazy Republican Tea Party people and all your conspiracies. Nah. If you have a federal government that's decided that they're going to put barricades around an open air memorial that has never been closed and is open all day long, every day, that's not a conspiracy. That's deliberate. Someone deliberately decided, screw the American people, we're going to do what we want. All right. Now, ask yourself, do you believe that the United States government, the federal government, is attempting to fill its ranks with those who will refuse to question orders, that will just do whatever they're told regardless? Because, hey, they told me to do it, so I'm just going to do it. And ask yourself this. Is following orders an excuse to violate the Constitution and to abuse your fellow citizens? Are you allowed to abuse the citizens of the United States just because someone in the government told you to? I don't know. Maybe you think that's a cool idea. Maybe you want to be part of it. But maybe you don't, and you need to ask yourself these hard questions. Or you could be like most Americans and tune this out, go sit in front of the TV and work on your fantasy football teams. You can do that. Now, what do we got coming up? Oh, Jared, are we ready?
Yeah, we are ready.
All right, you know what that music is. That is our Colorado update music. Awesome. We haven't had a really good Colorado update in a while, but thanks to the folks in Colorado, you're at it again. And this story comes to us from ammoland.com. And it looks like Senator Evie Hudak is she's up for recall. They are actively, the grassroots movement in Colorado is actively seeking signatures, enough signatures to put forth a recall of Evie. And it's going to be like we did with old Johnny Morse and Angela Giron, where they got rid of them. They booted them. And we saw a story here just last week where Lickenbottom had to sign in the new Republican replacements to Morse and Giron. And you know that had to gall that dude. You know that Lickenbottom, as much of a tool of Obama as he is, that it just ate him up to have to follow the law and swear those people in. Oh. Now, Evie Hudak kind of made herself semi-famous by telling, you guys remember that before they decided to just shove this law down the egregious laws down the throats of the people of Colorado, that they had open meetings and they had forums and they had all this jazz, and they allowed people to come forth and testify before the committees to whether or not they thought it was a good idea or a bad idea. And what we know now is that was just a show, because they never intended not to pass that bill. They're like, you guys can say whatever you want. We're going to, like John Morse said, what did Morse tell his people? You need to just ignore your constituents and do what you think is right, because that's how we work it in America today. Well, Evie, she was on the panel, and a woman, a college student who was a victim of rape, came before the panel to testify. And Jared's going to put the link up, and you guys can actually watch the video testimony of this woman. And it took tremendous courage. I'm going to say that. It took a tremendous amount of courage for this woman who was a victim of a violent attack to go in front of this committee of strangers and relive that incident, to tell it, explain it to them. And she told them how she was licensed to carry a gun. She had a concealed carry permit, but she was not carrying because the campus rules, the law forbid her from carrying a gun on campus. So what happened to her? Well, a big, nasty, bad man with a gun found her helpless and raped her.
Wasn't that a gun-free zone, but he had a gun?
I don't know how that can possibly happen. He must not have been aware that he was at a gun-free zone.
Yeah, he must not have seen the sign or something.
If they were only more plastic signs, if there were more plastic signs, he probably would have known. I don't know if they have plastic signs that say anti-raping zone or this is a no-rape zone. They might want to start working on those in Colorado. But anyway, this woman details her experience, and she says that she believes in her heart that if the law would not have disarmed her, that she would have been able to defend herself and not be raped that night, right? Makes sense to you? Makes sense to me too. But what does Evie Hudak say? Well, Evie takes to the microphone and she does the typical politician smarmy, oh, well, we really appreciate you coming here today and we thank you and blah, blah, blah. They do that setup to suck up to you. And then they're like, and she says, but according to the Center for Gun Violence Prevention, for the prevention of gun violence, the statistics don't bear you out. So she tells a rape victim that the statistics don't support her point of view. How do you need statistics to support or not support your point of view when you're a freaking victim of a rape, Evie, you freaking hag? And then she says, well, statistically, if you would have had a gun that night, it would have been used against you. So old Evie tells a woman who is a victim of a rape by a rapist
at
gunpoint that it was a good thing she didn't have a gun that night, because statistically, according to the Center for Prevention of Gun Violence or some crap, and we know how awesome their statistics are, the gun was more likely to be used against her. So I'm sorry, Evie. So what are our wives and daughters and girlfriends and supposed to do? Just take it?
It just pee on yourself or
yeah,
vomit.
Apparently that's Evie's freaking plan. What? You guys, you're going to have to watch it. Go to Student of the Gun Radio and check out the link, or just, I don't know, Google CHAG and you'll come up with the Evie Hudax picture or something like that. But I read it and then I watched it and I was just dumbfounded. But I guess we shouldn't be. You can't be surprised in America anymore. We had Dum Dum. What's her name? Dum Dum up there in Colorado. The for a double dose of she's got electrolytes.
Diana DeGette, Double D up there, telling a senior citizen who's concerned with his safety in a public forum meeting, telling him, "You'll probably be dead anyway, so don't worry about it." What? And last I heard, that moron is still in Congress. She tells one of her constituents who's concerned about his safety that, "Oh, don't worry, you live in Denver and the Denver PD will be there, in 5 to 10 minutes. But you'll probably be dead anyway." We did it. We talked about that on one of the earlier shows. So if you want to know that full story, go to studentofthegunradio.com and there's a picture of her. It says Diana DeGette for a double dose of stupid or something like that.
A double dose of stupid.
Yeah, she's got electrolytes.
So, we've got our Rocky Mountain High thing there. So, folks, check it out. If you're listening in Colorado, we know that you're currently an occupied state and they've got you over a barrel, but at least you're struggling. And so, amen, keep struggling. And keep a close eye out on that, because we're wondering, are someone going to get to Evie once? Because I believe they're going to get them signatures. Are they going to do like they did with Morse and Giron and say, "No, we're never going to stop fighting"? Or are they going to let Lickenbottom appoint some liberal person to take her seat? So we'll check that out. Keep a close eye on that, and we will let you know. Now, don't forget our boy Jared over there. He is hard at work. In addition to the radio, he's editing the TV show. We've got a lot of good, brand new television material for you guys. Oh, before we let you go, if you live in Maryland, if you live in Virginia, if you live in West Virginia, if you are a subscriber to Shentel HD digital cable, Student of the Gun is now on it. It's on a live TV outdoors or a live outdoors TV. But check your local listings, because we are going to be on now HD cable in Virginia, West Virginia, and Maryland. So if you don't have Dish, you can check that out. And we're going to be on Wednesday nights, Saturday nights, and I think Tuesday mornings. So check it out. If you're not going to studentofthegun.com, or if you haven't signed up to our newsletter yet, why not? It's free. Do it. But remember, folks, you are a beginner once, but you always should be a student for life.